the biggest thing that I could say is you can never take one piece of financial advice and take it for what it is, because your story, your situation, your circumstances, your cash flow, your background, your future, none of that is the same as anybody else's. So one piece of advice is not ever going to serve you. You have to take that piece of advice and look at it in the bigger perspective through true holistic financial planning and understanding how that one piece of something that somebody is recommending fits into your whole picture. If you're talking about like how long it takes to build a social media platform, keep that in mind. 52 days of posting constantly, like not constantly, posting consistently, basically to nobody, right? To no audience before I was even picked up for the results. So when you start on social media, you just have to start and keep going. Even if you don't feel like you have to build that momentum. It's like, building a snowman. You start with this little piece and you just keep rolling and it keeps building. And that's what you hope happens.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Your Lab Central. Today, I am joined with Linda. So, Linda, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation today?
Oh, I am excited to have this conversation because I am a personal growth coach and a financial money coach. And I'm really just excited about sharing things that can help people with their personal growth. So do better, be better, reach their full potential. So hopefully we'll give them some tidbits in our conversation today.
And now, is there anything specific that you like to talk about? You mentioned financial as well, I think. So, do you want to go into that direction? And should we start from the basics, or you want to set the tone high itself?
Oh, sure. We can start with the basics. So I am a former financial advisor who has gone into more of a financial educator and a creator. So I'm creating spaces where people can go and learn about finances where they aren't being sold to, right? I mean, I might try to sell you a course, but I'm not going to try to move your money to me. I'm not going to try to sell you some sort of insurance product. I'm really just going to teach you about all the things that you need to know about money and meet you where you are. My signature course is called the Me Money Method, and it's all about how you can't live a life you love on a budget you hate. Teaches you about putting yourself first as a priority on your budget so that you always have money set aside for yourself to spend and you're not just focusing all on the responsible stuff.
Mhm. Now, so if we talk about the general public, right? Somebody who's just knows the basics about how money works and things like that, but there's still some mistakes that the majority is making. Is there something that a pattern that you've seen and something that people can very easily avoid?
Yeah, so I think that the pattern that I saw in financial planning was when people came in to do a financial plan, the first thing you do is you go through cash flow with them. You talk about what they have coming in and what they have going out. And really, that's a way of budgeting, right? Looking at what's coming in and what's going out is budgeting. And that's where I realized that the one thing that's missing is yourself. Like you're putting in all the things that you spend, for housing, food, clothing, all those things that you need, but maybe cars too, but you're not actually putting a line item on there and say, well, this is what I spend for me. This is my money. And that's where me money was created. And I started it by putting my husband on a budget, giving him his own me money, and I had the same amount of me money. And it was really eye-opening, the changes that it gave us.
Mhm.
And it helped us in so many ways because it worked with both of our money personalities. So it worked for him who was a spender, and it worked for me who was a saver. And I found that as I shared this with other people, that it really helped them and it helped their relationships too, but it also works with people that are single. And so I think when you ask, like, what's the common theme? The common theme is that everybody has a money personality and that there's a way to put yourself on the budget that will help you understand your money personality and just it'll help you relate to your finances overall completely differently.
Now, it's just that a lot of people have budgets, right? And as you mentioned, they know the money coming in, the money going out. But if we're talking about something that we are saving for ourselves, Now, how do you differentiate that from anything that they've invested for the future, or that's something that they've spent on a car and then there are EMIs going out? So would you still that's not, you don't put that into me money, right? Or is it just spending on well-being or something of that sort? How do you exactly define this?
Yeah. So in a relationship, if you've got two people, your me money is defined as anything that you would that you spend that is solely for yourself. It doesn't benefit anybody else but you.
Okay.
So, for instance, when I put my husband on the budget, it was about he was going golfing or he was going fishing. And so he was spending money on these things. And he didn't realize how much money he was spending because I handled the finances. On the other hand, I was doing things where I was be like, oh, I can't afford to do that because I was so focused on handling the finances and saving for a future that I would feel guilty anytime I spent money on myself. I'm not saying I didn't spend it. I'm just saying I would feel guilty about it.
Mhm.
So when I put us on this me money budget where we both had our amount of money that we could spend only on ourselves, it allowed him to spend but make better decisions so that he wasn't just spending on whatever he decided he wanted to spend on. But it gave me permission to spend money on myself without having to answer to anyone, especially myself, because I'm the one who was giving myself the guilt about it. So it allowed me to be able to do that. Now, are we spending more or less? We're actually probably spending about the same amount. He might be spending a little less. I might be spending a little more, but we've evened out the playing field and we each know that we're spending the same amount. So it's not like one person's spending all the money and the other's all worried about the money. It's much more even playing field. And then as a single person, if you don't have a partner, you don't, the problem there is that you're not answering to anybody. But you could have any one of those personalities.
Uh-huh.
But by whatever personality you have, which I've identified 5 different ones, whatever personality you have, it helps you to understand how you're interacting with money and helps you put intention to how you spend so that you can make better choices that value your money.
Okay, now there's two directions I want to go into. One is relationships and money, and the other is I'm interested in knowing the 5 different personalities or spending habits that you've identified. Which one do you want to pick first?
Oh gosh, whichever. Let's go to the personalities first because that'll go into the next conversation,
Yeah,
right? Because that's the whole point
yes.
of different personalities coming together, right?
Right.
So the 5 personalities that I recognize are the spender, the saver, the avoider, the risk taker, and the security seeker.
Okay.
So a spender is someone who just likes to spend, and it could be on themselves, it could be on other people. It might be a giver spender. Saver is someone who like me would feel a little bit guilty spending on themselves. They really want to focus on the future and saving and making sure that their future me is going to be okay, but maybe at the sacrifice of their current me.
Yeah.
And then the avoider is someone who's just like, oh my gosh, I just don't even want to think about it. It could be because money seems like a bad thing to them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe their parents fought about money. So they're just kind of like, I don't even want to go
Mm-hmm.
there. Or maybe it's just like they feel like it's too complicated because they never learned about it. Right. So there's a lot of reasons why you could be an avoider. A risk taker is someone who's like, I want to, go big or go home. Like I want to just have all the experiences in life.
Mm-hmm.
And if it costs me my future, then it does. I just want to go do and have fun and enjoy. And they're taking risk by doing that because they're not focusing anything on the future. They're just focusing on now.
Yeah.
And then a security seeker is someone who's too much focused on the future because they just want to know they're going to be secure later. So maybe they're not enjoying their life now. They're not allowing themselves to do things now because they're so focused on the future and a plan and having everything spelled out. So those are the 5 different personalities in a nutshell.
Now, just a small doubt I have. Can you just differentiate between the saver and the security person? It's just that they feel too much related because even the saver is trying to save for the future. The security is probably a little more paranoid, I guess. But still, if you
Yes.
shed some more light on that.
Yeah, you're right. So you're right. The saver and the security seeker are similar, and the spender and the risk taker are similar. It's just that a security seeker and a risk taker are like a step further extreme than a saver and a spender. So if you think about the avoider being in the middle, and then the saver and the spender being on the outside, and then the security seeker and the risk taker being at the extreme ends, that would be the way to think about it.
Right. Now, since we've talked about these five personality types, now we could probably go into relationships and money coming into the picture, right? Now, obviously, handling money together as a single unit is something that a lot of people say that is very important for couples and, in a relationship. But how far do you see in practice couples actually being able to do this in reality?
So a lot of couples plan differently, and it also is age dependent, because I find that a lot of people in the younger generations are keeping their money separate even after they've been married. They're keeping it separate, and I'm not saying that it's only them. There's some older people too, but generally speaking, they're keeping it separate. But it's opening up a whole different area of issues. Like the issues that they were hoping to avoid, it's creating different issues because they're doing that separately. So the idea is that whether you're keeping your money separate or whether you're putting it all together, whichever way, the better you can understand yourself and your own money personality, as well as your partner's personality and the way they interact with money, the better you'll be able to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it. And then having the me money as a line item for yourself allows you to put that intention around how you're each spending your money.
Now, okay, that looks like a dead end, but then I just want to understand from the relationship perspective, because I guess one of the issues that comes up is trust, right? Because if you have separate accounts, and then how are you spending it? Why are you spending it? Such kind of questions keep cropping up. So how do you handle this? What level of coordination or communication can help this be solved with? Is it really that simple?
Well, it's always never that simple. I just used two words in there that you're not supposed to use, always or never, but it's always never that simple. But so let's take my husband and I for example, because we're actually a great example of this. So he was going and doing all of these things. He was going fishing, he was going golfing, he was doing all this stuff. And I was always the one who was like, oh, I can't do that. And so I had this own feeling that we were living like separate lives, because he had this fun life and was doing all this stuff. In the meantime, I was so worried about money that I wasn't doing anything fun or not enough things fun, right? And I don't want to ever say that I wasn't spending or wasn't doing anything, because it was not that extreme, but still I had this guilt, right? But I also had this, I don't know if you want to call it jealousy or whatever, that he was doing all of these things. And so by me saying, like, I'm putting you on a budget because I need you to understand more of what you're spending, and then him having the intention around what he was spending and realizing, like, hey, if I don't buy this now, I can have more for this later. And so just making better choices, and me saying, like, gosh, I would really like to have that, but I can't. Well, wait a minute. I already have the money set aside for me. And if I want this, I can get it. Right. But what it did relationship wise was a whole different thing, because it leveled the playing field for me. So he was never worried about it. He was just doing his thing. And he was like, oh, she can do her thing too. But I was the one worrying about it and being like, he's doing his thing and I can't do my thing because I'm too worried about everything. But that was on me. It wasn't on him. And by the time we got into our me money methods, like it really just leveled the playing field. Now I know I have the same amount of money as he does to spend on myself. So I'm not feeling that jealousy or whatever you want to call it, that he's doing these things. And I'm not feeling like I can't do things, because I have that money set aside for me now, where I've already given myself permission. So if I save up my money to do something, I can. If I want to spend it now, I can. It's up to me. And we have the same amount. So neither one of us is doing more or less than the other one.
Now, there's one point that came up, which is delayed gratification, because you mentioned that, yeah, if I save up now, there's something that I can do tomorrow. Now, how much useful is it in the context of two people coming together and trying to save something for something in the future? Uh, is it something that people should be looking forward to?
Yeah. So when we're talking about me money, we're talking about just the things that are only for ourselves, right? So it serves just me. My husband going fishing or golfing does not serve me at all. Well, maybe it does because he goes away, but I'm just teasing there. But really it's about things that we do for ourselves. So for me, like my choices are like I'll go out to a nice dinner with a girlfriend, or I will go and have a massage or something that is going to help, that's only benefiting me, right?
Yeah.
And then as far as our planning for the future, like planning for trips together or purchases together, things that we might do together, that's separate. That's part of our joint. And we can set, we've actually started setting aside us money now too, because we found that when we would go out together, then like, let's say we'd just go out to dinner, we would just be like, all right, we're out to dinner. Let's have drinks, let's have appetizers, let's have this, let's have that. And then we would be spending more money than we should be. We're like, okay, we should have us money too, so that we have intention around that too. So
Yeah.
we're already starting to make better choices in other parts of our lives because we have this intention around us in our own money.
Yeah, I was actually about to get to the point where both the people become one unit and then start talking about us, and then we're probably doing some financial planning around that. Now, when it comes to financial planning, okay, there's a lot of things that need to be planned for, depending on what milestones you set for yourself. Somebody has a house in mind, somebody has a car, somebody has a mansion. I don't know. Depends. But sometimes people just have trips on their plans. Now, are there any steps that people can take from wherever they are right now? Depending, there's a whole spectrum in where they can be, but
There's a huge spectrum in where they can be. And this is why when people ask me, like, they'll ask me, how do I figure out what my me money number is?
yeah,
And I say, there's no specific formula for it. I do have a course that takes you through how to figure it out, like actually figure it out for you. But
mhm,
your number is going to be totally different from anybody else's number.
yeah,
And with the me money, I talk about just figuring out what you're spending on yourself now and coming up with a number that works. For rest of financial planning, I think there's a lot of things that go into financial planning. And I think that the idea that you start to think intentionally about where your money's going, you want to serve yourself today, you want to serve yourself tomorrow, and you want to serve yourself in the future. So if you think all the versions of yourself that you're going to be in the future, all the different ages you're going to be, you want to be sure that you're taking care of all of them and planning for
yeah,
all of them.
mhm,
If you're living paycheck to paycheck now, you're only serving yourself now. If your paycheck ends, who are you tomorrow? What are you taking care of, right? You're not taking
sure,
care of tomorrow. So making sure you have an emergency fund would be the first step. That
right,
takes care of tomorrow, not necessarily the future, not saving for retirement or a house or a car or any of that stuff, but just making sure that if for some reason your paycheck ended for whatever reason, whether you got laid off, whether you got in a car accident, like hurt, whatever, if your paycheck ends, how are you serving yourself tomorrow? And that would be through establishing an emergency fund. And that's like the very first thing,
mhm.
that's the foundation of a financial plan.
Now, I just want to take this in diverge a little, but since financial planning is right now in the conversation, there are a lot of financial planners out there who just keep giving advice on social media or on different platforms, saying, yeah, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and save a little here, save a little there, invest here, invest there. Now, is there something that you've seen that everybody is not talking about, and then there's something that you're specifically talking about? Um, if What's the gap that you've seen in with other financial people who've been giving financial planning
So,
advice?
yeah, first I want to say that there are a gamut of people that are giving financial advice, right?
Yeah,
So you have people that are just teaching one thing that aren't looking at everything. Then you have planners that are licensed and actively
yeah,
licensed to do financial planning on the other end. And then there's everything in between. So I have a podcast episode of my podcast that came out that is all about how financial advisors get paid. And even in that alone, I talk for like 20 minutes just on how different types of financial advisors get paid. And that's not even talking about the people that aren't actually advisors that are doing things, right? So the biggest thing that I could say is you can never take one piece of financial advice and take it for what it is, because your story, your situation, your circumstances, your cash flow, your background, your future, none of that is the same as anybody else's. So one piece of advice is not ever going to serve you. You have to take that piece of advice and look at it in the bigger perspective through true holistic financial planning and understanding how that one piece of something that somebody is recommending fits into your whole picture.
Okay. So, right. Now, how are you leveraging this social media tool that is out there? Because everybody is out there creating content on social media, right? Are you also using that same platform to take your message out to the world, or are you only having your course and then I don't know how many people that you've already trained through that course?
Yeah. So I started my journey doing financial education just a few months back.
Okay.
So I'm on all the social media platforms. I shouldn't say all, because there are some I'm not on. I'm on all the major ones. And I am building my courses, and I'm doing a podcast, and I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I just started TikTok. I just started Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere because I really want my message to have a big impact. I want to reach the most people because we deal with money every second of every day. Even when we're sleeping, we're spending money, right? Because we're heating our homes, we're cooling our homes, we're powering devices, whatever we're doing. And I feel like it's such an important thing that's just as important as our breath almost. And so to empower people with financial knowledge is really my goal. So I'm spreading the word everywhere.
And how's it been since you mentioned it's just a few months that you started? So how's the social media journey going? Are all of the platforms giving you good returns, or which is your favorite platform right now? Where are you getting the highest engagement?
They're all growing. I would say that I'm most active on LinkedIn, but I already had the most followers on LinkedIn before I started. I'm most active there. And then also Instagram. Facebook, not so much. Like I feel like Facebook's kind of a different platform now. It's not necessarily what it once was. And then I just started on TikTok, and I just started on Twitter. Um, but I'm really looking for like where are people going to find me? My YouTube channel is growing. It took me 52 days of posting consistently on YouTube for my YouTube channel to get picked up by Google search results.
Okay.
So that was a milestone I hit. And I know that because I have a Google search out for my name. So when my name pops up, I'll see like where I'm showing up. And then so I saw like, hey, a YouTube channel popped up in my name. So that's why I knew how many days it took me to get found on Google search results. So if you're talking about like how long it takes to build a social media platform, keep that in mind. 52 days of posting constantly, like not constantly, posting consistently, basically to nobody, right? To no audience before I was even picked up for the results. So when you start on social media, you just have to start and keep going. Even if you don't feel like you have to build that momentum. It's like, building a snowman. You start with this little piece and you just keep rolling and it keeps building, and that's what you hope happens.
Yeah. And that's how everybody just happens to get there suddenly one day and they go viral, and then they're like, how did this even happen? But nevertheless, now just want to ask you about how many people have, if you just started, how's the response on your course itself?
So the course just launched. The Me Money course just launched. I don't have the other courses launched. And so I have some people that are going through it right now, making sure that they're vetting it for me, making sure everything runs smoothly and all good. But they are loving it. Like it's really, when you start using it and you start realizing what your money personality is and how you're interacting with money and you start actually putting it into practice, like they're like, wow, this is making me think about money in all aspects of my life completely differently. So it really is like a foundational part of learning about you and money.
Now, since you've just started off, now from a new business owner perspective or and a new coach perspective, how are you seeing this journey as a from the self-growth perspective and things like that, where you're getting your audience actually vetting and helping you with the content itself? How's this journey going on?
Yeah, it's I love it. I feel like I'm in a place where I'm really aligned with what I'm doing,
Mhm.
right? And I have big aspirations to have a big impact and to really just help the most amount of people that I can
Uh-huh.
in learning about money and finances and being a resource for them. So I'm really loving it. And the people that I'm finding through this journey are great people. In order to be interested in my content or my courses, like you have to be someone who's ready for personal growth, who wants to learn more,
Yeah.
who wants to take next steps and figure things out.
Okay.
So the people that I'm attracting are people that are ready for more.
All right. So thank you so much, Linda, for joining me in on this episode. It was great having this conversation talking about financial planning, relationships, and financial planning. So um, if I could just ask you, how long has it been that you've been working on this me money thing with you and your husband?
Oh gosh. So we started it a couple years ago. And I didn't have it named then. I didn't name it Me Money until very recent, until I went out on my own and decided to do education, right? I'm like, I gotta call this something. If I
Mhm.
just call it a budgeting course, like people are gonna be like, what? It's just another budgeting course. But it's not. It's something so much more than that because all of my courses and all of my content that I put out, they take the financial money part of it, but they add in all the human like stuff that is you, that's your personality, that's how you interact, that's real life. It adds all of that stuff in, and I think that's what sets it apart.
Now, from the entrepreneur mindset, right? What was the trigger that flipped in your mind, which actually made you think that, yeah, this is something that I can offer to everybody else as well? That this is a problem that everybody else is facing, and I can provide value to others by giving them this coaching. What was the trigger?
So the trigger was this: as I left my last corporate job doing financial planning, I was looking at starting my own business again, which I had had my own a financial advisory firm before. I was looking at doing that again. And then as I was running numbers, I was thinking, like, I want to serve the person who I was 10 years ago. And I would never have been able to afford me as a financial planner or even think that I was like able to work with a financial planner like me of who I would want to be. So I was trying to figure out, how do I serve the me 10 years ago?
Okay.
And education is what I came up with,
Mhm.
right? So it's going to be more people and less money to take a course than it is to hire a financial planner, right? So more people that I will be able to serve, it'll cost them less money, but I'll be helping the people that I used to be in helping, hopefully having them have more success with their finances sooner than I did.
Okay, yeah. On that note, again, thank you so much for joining in on this episode. It's been a great conversation. So before we close, where can people get in touch with you and know more about you?
The best place to go is my website, lindagriz.com. That's LINDAGRIZ.com. And from there, they can find my social media links. And then also, they can go to my resources page and take a money personality quiz and find out more about their own money personality.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing those five money personalities for everybody's information. I guess people will have some idea where they can get in touch with. So thank you so much. And now thanks to the audience who've been watching and listening intently. If you liked what we talked about, do leave a like. If you have something to add, there's some perspective, or you just have some questions, the comment section is open. And don't forget to subscribe before you close the window itself. Thank you so much, Linda. It is great having you on this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.